Christmas Point High Book Club. Had some little gremlins in the system then, and it wouldn't let me go live. But yay, we're here now to talk about freeze tag. I might have to take these glasses off because, yeah, I can't. I know they've got no hole. They've got holes in, but I don't feel like I can see. Right, hi everyone. Sorry for the delay. I had gremlins and it wouldn't let me press the live button. So I had to had to restart everything. Right, let me add the wonderful Catherine in. Oh, it literally glitched like freeze tag. It froze me. So very, very apt for the evening. Right, let me add the wonderful Catherine, the wonderful Kitty. We call her Kitty. Into this. Oh, thanks for worrying, everyone. Bless you. I was frozen in a game of free tag. Yeah, my glasses. Hello. Spooky, spooky.
You've got the Christmas elves coming in and ruining your Instagram.
I know, that was it. It just wouldn't let me press the button. It like froze, like literally. It's very apt for the night. But yeah, it literally was like, and I could see my face, and it was just like. I thought, oh no, so I had to restart everything. And
I think at opportune moments during this evening, we have to just stop.
Yeah, just like make everyone think it's like glitched.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Really
really embody the themes of the story.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, well, thank you for joining us. Yes, happy Christmas. I might have to take these off at some point because they're yeah. Oh, you got like your little hat.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's all right. You got your little hat.
This is the best I can do.
I love it.
I'm at my parents, and I'm everything for my children and nothing important for me except this copy of this book and this copy of this book, which is my
one. Yay! The essentials. That's what it is.
Lots of cough medicine because I have a nasty cough, so I apologise if I deafen you.
Oh, bless you. No problem. No worries. Well, thank you for joining us. So we have the wonderful Catherine Kettle with us this evening, who is the author of this fabulous book, The Boy I Am.
It's gold encrusted glory.
Woohoo! So basically, Catherine, or Kitty, as you like to be called.
Call me Kitty, yeah.
Yeah, we'll call you Kitty. So Kitty was made in Birmingham, a fellow Brummie. Yay! Yes. You're right, Bab.
Yeah, all right. Okay, I lost my accent a number of years ago because I went to school. My mum worked in the BBC, and she used to work in Pebble Mill, and she always said she was royally ribbed by about her accent when she'd come to London, and everyone was like, "Oh, you work with BBC and you work with Birmingham." And so, she said to me, "You're not going to have a Birmingham accent because the hold you back." Was like, "There, I love my accent," and so she packed me off to like elocution lessons very young. Anyway, I still had an accent when I went off to university, and then over the years it's just sort of mellow. But I do when I hang out with my parents like I am this weekend, it just comes
back. Yeah, well, I'm sure I can help influence the accents as well with my mind.
I'll go back and let my husband go, "Who are you?
What have you done with Kitty?"
Oh, but I'm from is where my heart is. It's where my heart is. And I came back and I lived there for a good 10 years until London came a calling, and then maybe one day soon I'll be back there. Who knows?
Woohoo!
But, up the Harborne Massive. Whoop, whoop,
whoop, whoop, whoop. So obviously you live in London now, and the opening of your debut YA novel, The Boy I Am, was shortlisted for the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrator Undiscovered Voices Award. I think I've got that right.
Yeah, otherwise known as Scooby. If it's
I could have just shortened that, couldn't I?
or Scubweed for others. But it was 2018. It was shortlisted along with 12 other writers. PM Freestone was the other YA writer in that. And most other writers were middle grade. And then not long after, I was, graced with a number of agents who wanted to represent me, and then not long after that, I was lucky to get a deal with Little Tiger, who
Yeah.
produced this. Came out
Yeah.
last January, and it's done really well. It's
Yes.
Carnegie nominated, which was a dream
I
come true.
know. Congratulations. That was
Yeah,
amazing.
it
Oh,
was
so
definitely.
amazing.
And also the Sheffield Book Award, it was up there. So I met a lovely
Oh,
Manjeet man recently. And then my
oh
second book
wow.
hopefully is going to come out next year, maybe just early
Woohoo.
the year after. It's just going through its edits right now, thankfully.
Oh,
So
exciting, exciting. So lots of exciting things coming and brilliant
yeah,
praise for The Boy I Am.
it's been
So
really well received. So I'm
yeah,
mostly most. It can be a bit of a Marmite book, I think, for some people, but I like Marmite books myself, so I don't
yeah.
mind. I don't mind that.
No,
And
definitely.
and it is everything I wanted it to be, and so I'm really proud of it.
Oh, yeah. So you
And
should
I love my
be.
boy. I love my boy,
So
and I
you
want him.
should be. So if you're interested in hearing what The Boy I Am is about, so it's a gender-flipped, speculative YA thriller, which takes a searing look at gender expectations. It's got dystopian dance-offs and Mad Max desert-style chases.
Yeah, that was my favourite bit.
I can imagine.
My favourite bit's
Um,
right.
and it's got trope twisting characters with
Yeah,
strong LGBT roles. And it's evocative writing, dazzling action, and killer plot twists. And it's perfect for fans if you like The Handmaid's Tale
yeah,
or Power
yeah.
or Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman. Then this is the book for you. I honestly recommend it and check it out.
Thank
It's
you.
brilliant. And I can't wait for your new book next
Oh
year.
God, yeah, I'm really excited about. I've started to get excited about it now. I've started.
Yes.
It's not a sequel because quite a few people have asked me if I was writing a sequel, but I was really proud that we write a story that could be a standalone. I could go earlier and write a prologue, what they're called, a
Prequel.
prequel, or I could write a
Yeah.
sequel if we think there's demand for it. But I spent a long time with this book and with the story and in this world, and so it's actually nice to kind of step out of that world and write something that's different. It's kind of what I'm writing now is kind of more, how do I describe it? It's like Inception meets what's that? Oh God, my brain's gone completely numb with Christmas wine. It's like Inception meets Arcane. So it's
Oh.
another genre bending kind of story, looking at kind of power playing. But yeah, this
Yeah.
one I was very much trying to find out what kind of feminist I was, and so I wanted to come at it from a completely different angle and write something different to anything else that was out there. And I felt like I did that. So I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait. Looking forward to that.
Somebody's just said, Amy's just said she's finally got her toddler to
Oh,
bed.
hi,
I've
Amy.
outsourced that one. I've outsourced that one to grandparents, so we're good.
Pass that one off tonight. And you also run the book chain project, don't you?
I do. I've
Which
read it
is
for 2
absolutely
years.
brilliant. Yeah,
Thank
it's
you. We
brilliant.
have.
You do
We're
author
missing.
interviews and things like that.
Yeah. So we've got one of these things that kind of started during the pandemic was
Yeah.
there was a whole bunch of authors. I felt we needed more of an opportunity to just, when you get authors together, we just have so much fun. It's really interesting to see the conversations that we have about books. And I thought if I could encapsulate that in a series, then I'd want to do that. So I set up a series called the Book Chain Project, where one author then interviews the next author, and then so on and so forth. So if
So
this was
good.
an episode in the series, I would go on to interview somebody in the next sort of 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm not sure whether I'll do it next year because I've got a book coming out and all that kind of stuff. But I definitely will probably pick it up and run it the next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been loads of fun. I've met some amazing authors, and it focuses on the UK children's book market. So that means we can have non-fiction writers from the children's market interviewing YA authors, and YA authors integrating middle grade or picture books. I wanted to expand outside of genre or age groups, because I think writing for children or writing for young people, which I prefer that phrase for some reason.
Yeah.
People who are interested in these stories that will not put them down once they get their hands on them, or will also throw them away after one page. It's a very interesting group of people, and writing for that group of people, whether they be 18 months or 18 plus, is a different mindset to writing for adults. So it's really nice to get that group of people together.
Yeah, no, it's
So
been amazing. Yeah, I've loved watching them, and you can catch up and things like that. But I'll put a link when I post this chat. I'll put a link to it as well, because it's really good and really good at promoting like UKYA and MG and things like that. So it's absolutely amazing. So
And many of the
yeah,
authors you've had on here, we've had come and join us.
Yeah,
So authors
definitely.
you've liked and met through the Point Horror Book Club, go over to Book
Yeah.
Club Project and hear them talk about their books or talk about books they love.
Yeah, that's it.
Very free reign.
Yeah, and I remember we met at Yout, didn't we?
Did before I was published, and I'm the kind of person who just goes up and sits next to random people and goes hi. So yeah,
was it 2018? Must have been.
I think it was the year I just got my publishing deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 2018. I'm sure
very
it was.
Different Yout to the one that we had. Yeah.
Yeah, but it all
couldn't really go up and sit and chat to randos in the Olympia.
But I'm sure I've got a picture of you and me sitting together.
Probably.
I'll have to see if I can find it. I'm sure I've got it somewhere.
But
yeah, I'll have to find it. So what we're going to do tonight, we're talking about freeze tag. It's a bit chilly in here. By Caroline B. COONEY, with the tagline "Cold Hands, Evil Hearts." And yes,
which I disagree with the tagline. I disagree with the tagline.
Oh, interesting.
Prefer the one on the back.
Oh, what was that? Tag you're dead. Oh, yes. Yeah, they should have put that on the front. Disappointed now. I didn't notice that before.
Yeah. And also, I don't think she's evil. So that's my other thing.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that then. But yeah, basically it's Frozen, but make it point horror. Basically, is what we're going to say. It's
Elsa if she didn't have Anna.
Yeah.
I've got my mum waved her.
Hi, Mum. Hello.
That's like, my amazing mum.
Who's that mad woman with the Santa Claus glasses on? Yeah, so if you've got any comments in the chat, pop them up and we'll try and read them out. There will be spoilers ahead for freeze tag, and I've just seen that Larissa's put the cover makes me so squeamish. Yeah, so I've tried to recreate the cover yesterday and like covered myself in like fake blood.
I looked at that and I thought, oh, she's really done some good Photoshop work. And then someone had commented, like, looks like you've been to Domino's. And that was when I realised you did. So you did a really good job.
Yeah, it's like
cut out the picture and like
yeah.
Put it on
the problem is because I've got such long nails as well. It was all like underneath my nails, like all night, and it smells like it's like a funny smell. So yeah. I was a bit like all night, but yeah. So what's this little book all about? So in a little town where the sun falls like a wet plate out of the dishwasher's hands, and it seems to snow all the time there is a road called Dark Fern Lane. And it starts off where 4 children are playing a game called freeze tag. Spoiler. So you remember that game, right? It's super fun. We all had a laugh when we were kids. But yeah, not the way, is it Lannie? I'm going to pronounce it.
Yeah, Lannie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's not the way Lannie plays it. So she plays it for realsies. And with one touch, she can freeze you. So you can feel the cold passing through your heart and the snow piling up on top of your eyes and basically going into another world of death.
Of death.
Of death.
Well, actually, of being very still and then death.
And then death. A very slow and painful
eventually,
death.
Unwitnessed, somewhere off screen, death.
Death. Yeah, so after making the local hunk, I say hunk loosely because, I'm not sure. After making the local hunk, West promised to like her best. A few years later, when Meggy Megs and West are getting it on, Lannie gently reminds everyone of that promise that he made, and it must not be broken at any cost. So with one touch by Lannie, they will take freeze tag to a whole new meaning and be frozen forever. And Lannie never lets anything get in the way of her and her man. And I'm actually going to admit I did find this book a little bit unsettling and like scary. I mean, not jump scary, but it was just unsettling in a kind of way.
Oh, there was one
But
jump
yeah,
scare. There is one jump scare, at least one jump scare,
yeah.
which is
So
really impressive to do in a book.
yeah, where was that? Where do you think the jump scare was? I think it was. I wonder if we were in the same place. Was it with the car?
Yeah, it's when that
Yeah,
hand comes in.
the hand.
The hand, creepy white hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so we kind of start off, the book kicks off with kind of like a lengthy prologue, where all the characters are like captured in their youth, and it's kind of sets the tone of the book and what's going to happen, and we get a really good introduction to the characters actually. So what were your thoughts on the prologue? 'Cause it was quite lengthy.
I didn't notice the length actually. I
I
happened
think,
to read
yeah.
this while I was sitting in the sunshine. In fact, when I was literally lying poolside in the summer, and I felt genuinely cold as it kind of progressed. So I think that she did a really great job of kind of imbuing the text with that kind of cold sensation and feeling. However, the first page, she almost lost me on the first page, and I'm glad I kept going. I didn't like the metaphor. No, the simile, like a circle of construction paper falling off a bulletin board. It jumped out
Yeah.
at me. Not sure about that one, darling. That was a bit heavy, but in general, I thought it was great. I think it's great to see the sort of childlike nature of these characters. And you all make promises when you're kids that nobody ever remembers. Goodness me, I couldn't remember anything else
Yeah,
from
that's
this
so
book.
true. Yeah.
And then they get forgotten, and it shows you when it's coming. She's not somebody who's going to forget that. And I think it also showed intent, because she went out in that scene. She goes out with intent to almost get that out of the scene. Like she wants West as much as Meg does. And you don't know her motivations, and that you instantly know she's the antagonist in the story, without all the blurb, without all the without the cover. She sticks out from the very first page as the person that you've got to watch. I think that my only problem with it, and this goes through the rest of the book, is I kind of always want this story from her perspective.
Yeah, that would have been so interesting, like from Lannie's perspective. Yeah,
I think she's personally I think she's the more sympathetic character in the whole story. So I wanted to know her story from the very beginning.
Yeah,
and I was kind of rooting for her actually. I'll be honest. I always root for the villain.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I've just seen a couple of people. Oh, Emma thought my photo was photoshopped too. What I'll do, I'll put up the one I did, because literally I used a white shirt. I'll put up the one I did before I messed around with it. Yeah, there's blood everywhere. Honestly, it was looked like I'd committed murder. Shelley Mack has put, one thing I'll say is the characterisation in the book was great. Yeah, I do agree with that. And Claire Lune has put, loved how Caroline B. Cooney added such a chilling factor into the idyllic lazy summer day that it began as. Yeah, that's true. It was very good. Larissa's put, such a good one, few too many similes for my liking, but other than that it was fab. Now similes, I did write a few down.
There were some clunkers. I loved her writing, but there were some real clunkers, and that stuck out. But it set the tone. I knew that was probably going to be another one coming.
Yeah,
since it was on the first page.
But there were so many. So the ones I wrote down. So rate these ones, Kitty. See what you think. So, okay. As completely and silently as a chemistry experiment.
Terrible.
Oh, making you laugh. As pale as pale as though they had been bleached in the wash, so that was about her eyes. So I thought that was quite a good description. As skinny as a popsicle stick.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Because it's also icy and it's
sweet.
And I think that one works. But yeah, the first one absolutely not.
As pale as a Kleenex.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I mean,
depends if you've blown your nose on the Kleenex.
I wonder if she got brand approval for using Kleenex.
And Pizza Hut. We'll talk about that in a little bit. as insubstantial as a tissue. Yeah.
That one, not so much.
No.
I've seen some substantial tissues in my life.
As dangerous as a collapsing bridge or a caving in cliff.
That one I like. That one I like. But
And the last
I don't like the
one.
ore. The ore, you don't need the ore. I mean, how many similes
No.
you need? You know what? I don't know whether you've got it from the first one. Let's try a second one.
And then
That one
the
needed an editor.
the last one I wrote down, as deep as company on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that was sweet.
Yeah, I thought that was quite sweet. I think I wrote a few more down along the way.
Some of them were a bit like, you could have probably done without that. But I think it was a trend in the 90s. Like when I first started writing, my writing was full of similes. Maybe it was a 90s thing. But yeah. One or two too many. You could get away with an alternative metaphor would have been nice on the occasion.
It did seem like it was a lot.
Apart from the similes, I mean, I haven't read many point horrors since my teens when I would devour them at night.
Yeah.
And I hadn't ever read this one, and I was really taken into it. I really actually enjoyed the writing more than I expected. I love the efficiency of it to tell that story in such an efficient way. And so I'll give her a pass for a few similes as shortcuts. If it saved her a few paragraphs here or there.
Yeah, we'll let her off just this once until the next book.
She's still a legend.
Legend. Shelley Max put the prologue was terrifying. She's always been a Caroline B. Cooney fan. And I always say I didn't appreciate Cooney when I was a teen, but now I'm reading them as an adult, I really realise how good she was.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, and to become a mum's put, she has a real way with words. Marzipan Pony, Cooney is definitely one of my faves. Yeah, she's become definitely
real way with words.
I
need to know if there's sarcasm in there. I'll be honest. If they could read that, you could read that either way. Give me context of what we've just been talking about.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, she does. I think she paints really good characters. I think one of the things that I really liked, we can get into this more as we go through, is that what they sort of feel on the first pages and in the first prologue. They feel very tropey. And, you know, you touched on this in talking about my book. I really like trope twisting. And what I really liked about the characters as you went on, although I still found Lannie the more likeable of all the characters, given that she's a murderer, I still felt there was always more to those people, even West. And I think, and she investigated or went into layers of these characters, except for sort of more sub-characters like Tuesday and the others, but she went into them in a way that shows you they're not just that surface, and I think that's what makes it stand out. That to do that so efficiently in a short number of pages, there were parts of it in a masterclass, not the similes, but everything else. I think there was some fantastic bits.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And as you say, in such a short book, it was just packed with, you know, the essentials of what we needed for the story and the characterizations and things like that.
Absolutely no baggage in it. Nothing.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Well, having said that, there are a few characters that could have gone by the wayside.
Definitely. Claire Luna Nooks put her ability to make you feel a scene is such a talent. Sounds like Cooney. I'll just catch up on some of these. So Narissa, she has a real classic dark folktale kind of storytelling, which I love. Eddie Mays put Lannie definitely knows what she wants and will not take no for an answer. Creepy. Creepy, yes, but confident. So Marzipan Pony, it's less jump scare, more atmospheric. Yeah, the atmosphere was definitely a focal point. Claire's put, her perspective would have been great. Talking about Lannie's perspective, that definitely would have been really good. Karen's put, how were all the school teachers not frozen? Teachers giving out homework and reports would totes have been the first one I had frozen before them pesky kids. She just wanted West. That's all she wanted.
I like her. She's very specific. She's not, she's not a psychopath. She's an absolute sociopath. There's a difference.
Yeah.
But I would also agree. I think somebody pointed out that at least the parents were there, which was brilliant. and they were
Yes,
good.
it makes a change.
As a mum myself, I felt for her mum, like mad,
Oh,
like
yeah.
when she was like expecting the kids to come around for the party. Oh my God,
Oh,
my
yeah. And
mum
she'd
hurt.
stocked all the fridge up. So Megan's mom,
Oh
and she
no,
stocked
God,
all the
bless her.
fridge up, and then the kids never came round.
So it
So
gave me
hers,
the feeling that that was very Caroline B. Cooney's experience. I felt that she put herself
yeah,
into the mum figure a lot because she was really she was quite fleshed out actually in very little space. But there were all the rest of the adults that were classic 80s horror. Like no one was like going, this small child who looks like she's fallen off a snowman advert.
yeah.
Maybe she's a bit peculiar. Maybe she needs help. No, couldn't care less. So it was a classic "Where's all the parents" kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
except for the ones
yeah,
we know named. Oh God, her dad. Anyway, we'll get to
yeah.
that.
Dad. So to become a mum's put after a while, it did get a bit much with the emphasis on Lannie. So straw hair, barely there, pale eyes, evil and
Yeah,
without love. By the end, it was like, I get it, she's odd and
yeah.
evil. Yeah, it was reiterated quite a lot. And we already knew she was evil, and we liked the fact. Well, I liked the fact that she was evil because there was this unknown entity that no one could explain, and yeah, it
But
was.
again, I don't think she was evil. I come back to this. I mean, yeah. I mean,
No, go
I think
on.
at least
I'm intrigued.
at least she talked about like the neglect element, and I wanted to know so much more about that. But I felt like we're being told she's evil, but I'm not seeing evil things. I'm seeing a
Mm,
child. She seemed to me as a character who hadn't grown up beyond the person we met in the first prologue. Whether that was
yeah.
intentional from the author's perspective or unintentional, so
Mm,
she struggled to age her up, but she felt like she too was frozen in time. That she too was
yeah.
frozen in that kind of selfish toddler, 4 year old, 5 or
Mm,
6 year old age, that where you play these games and you don't know that what you're doing is cruel,
mm,
and even if it is, you are not capable mentally of kind of empathizing to
yeah.
a point where you. So she seemed to me more not necessarily evil, but just immature in her understanding of
Mm,
others, and you give a creature of that nature so much power,
mm,
danger will therein ensue. So I felt I was a little bit more kind of, I was being told she was evil repeatedly, but
yeah.
actually what I was seeing on the page was somebody who and I think this was actually to some extent, I'm talking it out loud, quite well done, because of the journey that Meg goes on,
Mm,
to kind of empathize with her a bit, and struggle with the choices that West and the others are making. um,
mm,
I, I I just felt that she didn't necessarily need love, but she needed to be not minimized to being just
yeah.
evil. And so being told she was evil felt a little empty and repetitive, because
Mm,
it wasn't then played out in the text,
yeah.
to me.
And then, considering what we know about the parents and things like that, maybe, she was obviously always told she was unusual or evil, and then you just kind of go into that character, I guess.
Mm, mm,
Maybe that's
mm.
what she did. She just grew up into that character, but
Oh,
stayed quite young, like as you
yeah,
say.
I felt that she too was frozen. That was the
Yeah,
way I felt it.
like
It
frozen in
reminded me,
time.
yeah, and this
Mm,
is a totally not related, but the one thing that's also struck me a lot is how somebody mentioned, Caroline B. Cooney on Good on Folklore. It struck me as a modernization of the Snow Queen myth, very, very,
yes.
very strongly, because the
Yeah.
whole thing in the Snow Queen is the boy gets glass in his eye, or he gets
Mm,
ice in his eye, like a
yeah.
shard of ice, so that he goes cold inside. So it felt like she'd taken the key beats from that myth, young
Mm,
down the characters, put it in a modern setting, and then
mm.
she kind of almost depowered the antagonist to some extent, and made
Yeah.
her. Yeah, she felt like a child throughout. It felt like they were being terrorized by a very powerful 6 year old.
Yeah, it did
And
actually.
she
Now
was
you said
16.
that. Yeah, it did
Mm,
feel she felt a lot younger than what she was. Um,
yeah.
yeah, so to become a mum, I'm probably a bit behind on the comments, but to become a mum's put using their full names repeatedly as if we would forget, like names like Tuesday, Brown, West. But it was constant, wasn't it? That
That was a
they
bit much.
kept having to to be
She was really proud
reminded.
of those names. She's really proud of those names. I hated their names.
I hated
Um,
it. I was like, why? Why? Were they
Tuesday, I like
conceived on a
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
I like Tuesday's name. I think that's lovely. And I like West's name. Oh, was it Brown? The other? Wasn't keen
Brown?
on that. But then, yeah,
Yeah.
their surname just didn't. But I felt like Caroline was particularly proud of those names, and so I wanted to remind you of them. But yeah, I
Yeah.
wasn't really down with the
I'd,
naming all the time.
I'd love to know if there was a specific reason, like, behind those names. Like, I'm just really intrigued because, I mean, you're not going to forget them anytime soon. They were crammed into our brain constant.
No, but it
Oh,
was easy to get confused between the children. I don't think Brown had any value in the story.
no.
Like we did, he wasn't needed.
He doesn't.
You
He
just
wasn't
had
needed.
Tuesday, and you were
I didn't
fine.
really make many notes on Brown either. So normally when I don't make many notes, it's because I think, well, why are they there?
Yeah. So rather than sort of simplify it and just say he, she, West Tuesday, you had to have Brown in there, and then that made it confusing because you've got an extra pronoun to deal with. So I think that,
Yeah.
yeah, I think she was using their names a bit just to kind of try and get over the hump of having to explain where three children were all the time. But that could have
Yeah.
easily been solved by removing one of the children.
Just removing them. Yeah. Yeah.
And then using the word space to maybe give us a little bit more background on, like, I really
Yeah.
wanted to know more about her dad. I
Mm.
wanted, and I felt like the way that he, if I'm skipping ahead in the story,
No,
the
it's
chat,
fine.
let me know. But
It's fine.
the way that his demise is described, I wanted more. I wanted to know
Mm.
more.
Yeah.
Because she finds him in the car, sort of frozen in time, but I wanted to know how long he'd been there, and did they
Mm.
rot? And how does she know he's not like how does she know he's dead? Like how long? Like, there
Yeah.
was so many questions I
So
had.
this was
Um,
Jason, wasn't it? So Lanny's stepdad,
Jason. Mm,
wasn't it? I think
yeah,
Jason, and she kind of froze him, left him in the car, like you said. But yeah, I would have liked a bit more of a graphic
yeah.
description.
I
Did he
needed more. I
smell?
needed more. Yeah, exactly.
Did he
I wanted to know.
decompose? Were
Is
there
he? Is
maggots?
and one of the things I didn't kind of get was when she freezes people, it doesn't feel like they're frozen in a way that anyone can tell that they are ice, like
Yeah,
frozen. They are just very, very still. So that
yeah,
implies that they're not icy. They're not. So yeah. Would he not decompose? Like, yeah. There were
mm,
so many questions I thought could have been, maybe if it had been a bit longer, more words could have been invested in.
yeah,
And yeah, and I wanted to maybe use that moment or know more from that moment about her
mm,
motivations and her why.
yeah.
Um,
Because
and
that
even if
whole
that is that she has
scene,
none.
the whole scene was creepy. How she kind of like, because obviously Megan's dad forces Megan to go and find out what's happened to the stepdad, to
Yeah,
Jason, and it's just the way that Lanny like brings her into the house. She's like, come in, and it's the way the house is described, and that they're going down these steps and down here and then into the garage and things like that. And it's the way it's described. You can almost imagine it playing out as a horror movie, and then
yeah.
turning the lights on, and then there's this frozen body in this car.
It's like,
Yeah, just
yeah, and I could totally picture it, but I felt it wasn't milked as a moment. I wanted
yeah,
so much more, and
yeah,
but again, it goes back to that childlike nature of Lanny as a character. She's like she really wants to show Maggie what she's done. It's like, come and see my.
yeah,
It's like come and see my doll's house that I've set up. You're so
yeah,
excited about it, and so for me, it came across. Obviously, there's a cruel nature there because this is
mm,
her stepfather, but there was this sort of excitement, show and tell,
yeah,
alongside the threatening nature of that I thought was really fascinating from a character perspective.
mm,
But yeah,
yeah,
I wanted, from Meg's perspective, I wanted to know more. Like, why wouldn't she immediately
more.
go send the police over there? Like, they will find him. They will go,
Exactly.
this
Like
seems peculiar.
she didn't do anything, did she? She kind of just like left him there, frozen. Like, oh, never mind.
I can't even remember. I mean, maybe somebody on the chat can remember or can flick through and find out. But whether or not she justified not going to the police or anyone with
I
it,
don't
like,
think she did.
you
I
have
think it was just
genuine proof.
forgotten about.
Yeah, it's not like you can go. Yeah, you should probably go and check on Jason because he's he's in the garage and stuck in the car. Like, you wouldn't have to say he's
Frozen.
frozen. Like, and then the
Well,
police would
yeah.
like turn up and go, well, this seems a little off.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of that happened.
It's very,
So
very, yeah, very strange. It was kind
would have
of
been
just like brushed over a little bit.
yeah, maybe you could have easily, maybe she did. I can't remember even whether or not she could say, well,
Yeah.
she's worried about what Lannie would do, but you know,
Interesting.
silly.
um, Phillips put this was one cover that always scared the bejesus out of him, and he said he's read some pretty gruesome stuff this year. Inside the cover, Lannie was scary. Parents were present. Typical Mum said, which we mentioned. I'm just going to catch up here. So Claire Lune's put. Yes, even the parents were relevant with personalities, which is rare. Eddie May has put COONEY definitely makes me think on a deeper level as well as enjoy the story. So still thinking about the deer in the story from 13 Tales that we read. So for October we read like an anthology, and Caroline B. COONEY had done one about these deer, and it had so many like different interpretations that you could make of it. And I know Karen came on and told us her interpretation. It's something that I hadn't thought of, and I think that's the genius of COONEY. I think she definitely makes you think for sure.
She's one of the early like popular horror writers, I think.
Yeah,
Like, you
no,
know, if I
definitely.
think back to the 80s and I think of in the 90s and the horror that I read and enjoyed, predominantly male.
Yeah,
And so I think when you think about COONEY's work in that period, she brings a femininity, an interest to it, and that kind of brings more than just the gore. You brings the depth, which is great.
yeah. And I'm sure I read an interview a few years ago. I can't remember where, but I must have found some interview, and she mentioned that she always likes to put some type of message, or a like a good versus evil message kind of thing in the book to make people think. She does intentionally do that. And I just find her so fascinating. She's fascinating. I love her.
Yeah, me too.
Emma's put Lannie doesn't care about others. She only cared about herself right to the end. Yeah. So Emma's put Megan was great. So we'll speak about Megan in a second. To become a mum's put the dads weren't developed, so there was something about a mother's love, I think, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely, absolutely. Because she talks a lot about the different mums in each of the
Yeah,
families, including Lannie's, and the absence of Lannie's mum is very much and not only the
yeah.
absence, but the escape of Lannie's mum. I think would probably be the best word for it. It was really interesting too. Really good point.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I like that she was a
Inside
git.
the cover, yeah, she was a kid. Inside the cover, she was a great villain. And Nerissa's put sometimes you just want an out and out villain, and that's true. Um, yeah, to become a mum's put, it was left very open as to where she got her power from, and if she changed at the end, feels like there should have been a sequel.
I
Just
wanted to know her story. I didn't feel like I needed
yeah,
to know where her power came from, though. I feel like that would have probably detracted from the storytelling a little bit and from the messaging. And I think
yeah,
it's more sinister that you don't know, and it just happened. And I think it was done well in a way that it was just there and it was completely accepted, and you move into the world, in a very seamless way.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I
I
think in
liked that.
a modern version of this, perhaps it would be longer and more would be spent on that kind of lore side of it. And I was like, I just wanted the horror. I just wanted the
Yeah,
effects of this power.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I was
I
very
liked
glad
that
that
we
they weren't
didn't
trying
know.
to change her. They were just trying to manage this un un kind of controllable rage that she had. She's pointing in all these directions, and she could have taken out the whole city.
Yeah,
Maybe if
yeah.
Megs had gone to the police, then she would have just frozen the police, and then
Just yeah, that's
just this
it.
whole
Done and
town,
dusted.
very
Yeah,
one divisiony.
frozen,
Mm.
frozen in time.
Which would have been
Yeah,
a
because
great
she could
ending,
have
by the
done it.
way. It would have been a
Yeah,
great
that would have
ending.
been so good.
I want a version of the story where Lanny's just like, yeah, now we want 20-year-old Lanny, in New York trying to hold down a career as a lawyer, and somebody messes with her.
Yeah, that's true. And she's just like, no, I've had
She's
enough of
like,
you.
why don't you go visit my hometown and see what happens with you mess with me?
On Dark Fern Lane. Oh dear. Cameron's put, how do you think she got the freezing powers? But I'm kind of glad we didn't know. But like you, Kitty, she wants to know the history.
Well, it would be fascinating, yeah.
Yeah, she's put like, was her great nan an ice witch or something fun like that? I need a TV show on the history of the icy powers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's descended from the Snow Queen. I'm going with that.
Yeah. Eddie May, but I was totally joking about Lannie being likeable in my comment. Meant it to be sarcastic. Doesn't always come off well in text. No, but I
I think
think,
she
to
is
be
likable.
honest, yeah, like, I wasn't
As in,
sure. I was a
as in,
bit like,
I can empathise. I can empathise with her
yeah, yeah,
in that
no,
regard.
definitely. Let me just try and get to the bottom. Yeah, the missus put, I'm cool with not knowing.
Mm.
I was Emma's put, I was hoping she was an alien. Oh
That would have
yeah,
been fun.
that would have been like super cool. Can you imagine? She's
That's a
like,
different
yeah,
story, though, and I would almost want that different story. Like it would be
yeah,
a different theme. It would have different. It
yeah,
would have different weight. But
yeah.
it could sell. Oh, she's been touched by an alien. Well, that sounds tempting.
Oh yeah. Oh, I like that.
Cool.
Marzipan ponies put, I think they manifested because of how
Yeah, I
she was
agree.
always frozen out, yeah, or left out in the cold. So this
Yeah.
was her way of making everyone else feel how she does on the inside. Oh, it was so tragic. It
That's
was
how I
quite
feel. I felt it
sad.
was an expression or a defense mechanism in the
Mm,
same way that characters can develop, or not characters, people can develop multiple personalities or different ways of protecting themselves. That it was she was more of a kind of X-Man mutant to me than she was a
mm,
villain, and she'd built this ability in herself, evolved somehow, or maybe was even born with it because of the circumstances of her very young upbringing with her. Yeah, so
yeah.
these powers in the hand of somebody who hadn't been treated so badly would not be as dangerous. And so it
Mm,
certainly felt that COONEY was reflecting more upon. And I mean, this is why I come back to the fact that I think the tagline about her being evil doesn't work for me, because
yeah.
she is not in herself evil. The way she has been treated, and therefore the way she expresses herself,
Mm,
almost like there's those famous stories about feral children, or children who kind of are either abandoned or who are unloved, uncared for, or have to survive on their own, and that
mm,
animal instinct. It's how can you
yeah.
have empathy if you've never been empathized with?
Yeah.
And again, it comes to the fact that those young people who go through this are often developmentally reduced, and they're not able to kind of come out of that kind of
Mm.
hippocampus mindset where everything is very about the ego. So yeah, she felt to me as like, I just wanted to mother her.
Yeah, I just wanted to give her a hug, as long as I didn't get frozen. But yeah, I just wanted to give her a hug, bless
It's
her.
also an interesting comment. Maybe this is because it's American, maybe it's because it's '90s, but this is a world where everybody had kind of looked the other way. There was no social services looking after. There was nothing, no one coming to her rescue. She,
No.
for so long, was her only savior as a character, and so and hadn't been given, by the look of it, the support from any parental unit to evolve
Mm.
the way of her asking for things or needing things. So yeah, she felt to me not likable, but I really empathise with her. I empathise
Mm.
a lot less with Megs and West, who
Yeah.
in many pages
Yeah.
through this book I found insufferable.
We'll have a chat about them. But I just thought we didn't mention that Lannie actually did kill her mom
She did.
by freezing her in the
She
car.
did.
So,
She
which I
did.
thought was pretty
It was
cool.
when her mum was trying to leave anyway, wasn't it? But
Yes. So her
so
mom was leaving.
her mum was
Yeah, that's
leaving, and
true.
she kind of crept. She was in the back of the car, and she froze her. I didn't get the
Mm.
feeling that was intentional.
Oh, didn't you?
Maybe I misread it, but I felt like that was
Oh.
almost the first time that she had really properly used her powers. The way I read it was that in the prologue, she knew she had them, but she
Mm.
wasn't like using them in any aggressive way. And then it
Well,
was it the dog
she killed
first
the
or
dog.
second?
Yeah,
The dog
yeah.
first. So it was almost
Mm.
like that kind of um, killing instinct where you start with animals
Yeah,
and then move up. And I felt that the
yeah.
mum was the first human she'd quote unquote killed. Um,
Ah.
but that
Mm.
it was a little bit more like her. Maybe I've just got too much empathy for this poor girl, reaching out to her to almost stop her mum from leaving. And she was in the car. I feel like she's going like, "Don't
Yeah, now
leave."
you've said it.
And then
Yeah. I
but
can
she has
see
this
that.
power and it freezes her, and then the car crashes and her mum dies and she comes out alive, and now she's dealing with the post-traumatic stress of that.
Yeah.
All of which it entails. Again, I feel like I might be writing Lannie's story in my head.
That's
Maybe
it.
I'm reading into it too much.
Kitty to write the Lannie's version.
Book
That's
3.
what we need. Point
This is it.
horror.
I wasn't inspired by point horror at all, Mr. Agent.
So
Wouldn't that be a
Emma's,
great series, though? Wouldn't that be a great series? A
it really
2020
would.
series of authors writing companion books to point horror from the other
Yes,
perspective. All
yes,
of them, not just this one.
please. We need that. That's what we need in our life.
To the publishers.
Yes.
Give me a companion
Yes,
series.
get in touch.
Yeah,
We need
Point
it.
Horror
We
Mark
need
2.
it. Oh, can you imagine? It'd be so cool. Emma's put Brown was a funny little boy. She
He
liked
was. He's
him.
sweet, but he had no plot value.
Yeah, to become, I'm probably really behind, so I'll try and catch up.
Yeah.
So to become a mum's put, I liked how it wasn't just the main character who understood what was really happening. Quite often the protagonist feels alone in the knowledge they have. Yeah, that's quite interesting. We'll have a chat about Megan in a sec. I remember thinking, who's Jason? Yeah, we had to really think on that one. When she freezes people, they obviously don't defrost, inside the cover said.
But see,
Yeah.
I have so many questions.
And then Emma's brought up a good question. Cheesy popcorn. Like, this is a thing in most point horrors. Cheesy popcorn
I've had cheesy
is
popcorn.
kind of a thing.
I've had cheesy popcorn. Yeah, it's not proper cheese. It's like cheese dust.
Oh.
It's like that kind of powdered cheese, and like in the way that you would put like salt or sugar on popcorn, you have
Yeah.
this cheesy dust, like you have on like nachos or what are they called? Doritos or something, or like Nutri. What's it? It's cheesy dust, and it's really
Yeah.
nice.
Oh,
It tastes
okay.
like Wheaties.
Oh, we'll all have to try some
Highly
cheesy
recommend.
popcorn, because it does come up quite a lot in point horror, and buttery
Yeah.
popcorn, obviously.
Buttery
But
popcorn.
yeah, but cheesy popcorn, I was a bit like, oh, I'm not sure about that. Claire Luna's put no warmth in the house. I remember the observation from Megan about how unused the living room was. A brief insight into Lannie's cold life. So that's when they're going in the house looking for Jason. Marzipan Pony said Teen Creeps, which is a brilliant podcast, did an episode on this, and one of the hosts talks about how she identified with Lannie because she was that weird kid and how cold it makes you feel. Yeah, that's very true. Lots of talk about cheesy popcorn. No to the cheesy popcorn.
You have to do a special next year where you get cheesy popcorn in.
Yeah, just to try it like live, like
yeah,
see what it's
We're
like.
not going to talk about books, but it's the food branch.
Just
we'll
food
take various
tasting.
foods from Point Horrors, and we'll do a tasting episode.
Yeah, I like that. To become a mum, what reason did Megan give her dad about Jason? Yeah, we don't think she gave anything. I'm just going to scroll down really quick. Cameron, what was up with the parents insisting she go and ask the questions to the girl who just stole her boyfriend? That was the actual horror.
But also, how many parents on this chat would ask their child to do that? No, you go to a strange man's house and find out where he's going. No, you go over. They were so.
You are the adult.
In teen horror, you need cowardly parents. That's it. You can't. It's like a classic trope. You can't have a successful teen horror with parents who are like, right, let's stop all this. Let's go on holiday. This murder seems to be in the village. Let's go and go to Hawaii for the week. That seems a sensible way to. Or secondly, let's lock the house, call the police. No, absolutely cowardly, genuinely stupid parents. At least we knew.
Yeah.
But I didn't. That whole thing with her sending Megan over. I felt that rang true with Megan's mum's behaviour, because she felt like somebody who would not be confident enough. And so thinking that her child has this connection with Lannie, at the child level, probably more than she has with the completely, absent parents.
Yeah.
It felt like it rang true, but it wouldn't be something I would do. certainly.
No, no, definitely not. I was like, what? Go
Oh, see,
yourself.
Overdue Notice has pointed out Cheetos, but popcorn. That's exactly cheesy popcorn.
Ah,
It's Cheetos.
okay. Right, there we go. I'm gonna have to try it definitely. To Become a Mum says the teen side of things felt more authentic this time rather than twee or extremely PG.
Still could
It's
have gone a
good.
bit
The
further
popcorn's
though.
good.
Like I still felt
Yeah,
like it was there was still it felt like 15, 14-year-olds rather than
yeah,
maybe that is what their age is, but probably
yeah.
still a little bit conservative.
Mm. So Melina's put yes, I picked up COONEY's good evil theme. So the perfume is like that too. So we read the perfume,
Great
I think
book.
it was last year.
Mm.
And obviously, and also there's very much of an ancient evil type feel to that. And I know they reference Lannie as this ancient evil thing in freeze tag. So I was kind of like, oh, there's obviously a theme here that
I need to read all the
COONEY
Coonies. I need to read all the Coonies and see
mm,
if there's see if there's actually a story thread, because
yeah.
maybe it's like with King, or you can actually they're from the same
You can
world. You
like
can
pick it up, yeah,
yeah,
possible,
I wouldn't put
yeah,
it past her.
yeah. Eddie May's put, do either of you have a favourite Cooney book? Yeah, freeze tag. Oh, I really like the perfume.
I need to read it
Um,
again. I haven't read it since I was
just
probably
because it's
15.
just crazy. I know Melina has read it recently, and I know she messaged me saying, "What have I just read?" Because it's just like, yeah,
I
crazy.
definitely am going
Yeah.
to start rebuilding my Point Horror collection after this for
Oh,
myself.
yay! Definitely.
I was so dreading, because I genuinely I remember my Christmas list was just but I got rid of them all in my 20s, and I just needed book space, and I wanted to have books that maybe look clever on my shelf, so
Yeah,
I sold them all, but yeah, I'm gonna have to build it back up again
gonna
because
have
I
to
really
collect
enjoyed
them
this
again.
so much.
Yay!
Yeah. Although
um,
this one didn't have the last page in it for me.
I know.
Remember,
I remember you messaging me
Kat
because I sent you
texted
the
me a
book, didn't
picture,
I? And I got it off eBay, and then
and I
you
was
said,
heartbroken.
"Shelley, it's
I
missing
told
the
her it was
last
missing. Hey, look,
page."
I've got a
So
little.
yeah,
It's
I couldn't
gone.
believe it when you said, yeah.
Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people, so Mars Pamponi's put in the Losing Christina trilogy, or as I like to call it, Let's Gaslight Christina trilogy, because there's so much gaslighting in those books. So it's The Fog, the Snow, and the Fire.
Yeah.
They're really good, but as long as just you have to just get past the fact that they gaslight poor Christina constantly in that book. In those books, but it is a really good trilogy. To Become a Mum said the twins she loves. Shelley
Mm.
Mack said the perfume is actually her favourite. It got really under her skin, very weird and sinister and unique. And Narissa's put the cheerleader, so we read that one with last year. I think we had Amy on.
Yay.
So with the mushroom vampire, mushroom skin vampire.
Yes. Goodness
Yeah,
me, I remember that. Was that Cooney?
yeah. Yeah, so good, really good.
An
Right, let me
absolute
just.
unsung hero of Point Horror, I think,
Yeah,
as a writer.
100%. And as I said, when I was younger, I didn't appreciate her
Yeah.
as
Everyone
much as
remembers
I do
Stein and
now.
Pike, but Cooney's definitely an
Yeah,
unsung talent.
yeah.
Bring on a Cooney
Um,
Netflix series. That's what I want.
Woohoo! Oh, can you imagine?
It would be
That would
amazing.
just be, yeah, it would be so good. Marzipan Ponies. This is about the Losing Christina series. She's not mean like Mrs. Shevington. Just could play her in the TV movie. Oh, I'm not sure. I might have missed something on that. But yeah, Mrs. Shevington in the Losing Christina series is, yeah. And Emma's put, not all abused children abuse others. Some do go the opposite way. So that is, yeah, that's important to remember. Um, Teddy producers put, maybe Lannie froze her mum so that she would never truly have ended up being abandoned. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
almost taking the initiative, really. Oh God,
Yeah.
Lannie, I do feel.
Emma's put, she killed a dog and her mum, but not evil. I think she might be a bit evil. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
she
well,
might be.
I think she's definitely a villain. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's definitely a villain, but
Yeah,
I feel like I can. For me, evil means I can't rationalize their actions, whereas I feel like not rationalize, but I feel like I can understand her reasoning. But maybe that's the
yeah,
writer in me, because you have to do that as an author anyway. You have to be able to any villain, you have to be able to know why they think they're the hero of their own story. So perhaps I can just see too much into Lannie and know what she's the hero of her story. But
Yeah, no, definitely.
yeah,
Nat's reading Nook said, "Sorry, I'm late. I didn't like freeze tag."
that's okay.
That's all
We
right.
didn't
That's
write
like
it.
next month where we'll have another crazy one, probably. Oh yeah, we're doing Hit
What
and
was
Run
it? I
next
want to know
month.
what was it that didn't. I want to know for people who didn't like it. Because you don't have to like books. I mean, there's plenty of books I don't
Yeah,
like. But
it's very different
what is it
to a
that
normal point horror.
it
Like
is?
it's
Yeah,
very different.
yeah. It
Yeah,
feels like a novella. It feels like almost
yeah.
like a story that she'd written, and people said, "Oh, that sounds like a great concept. Why don't you just put that into this point horror thing?" And she was like, "I could probably
Mm.
do that, and it means I can sell it."
Just
Um,
yeah, that's
but
true.
yeah, it definitely has a different tone to it.
Mm.
But I'm curious, what didn't work for those people who didn't like
Yeah,
it?
yeah, I'm really interested. To become a mum's book, COONEY has some haunting concepts that have stuck with me. Mushroom skin just rang a bell. So yeah, mushroom skinned vampires. Claire's put out of all the point horrors I read as a teen, COONEY ones that sum up. Oh, sorry, it's the COONEY ones that sum up that remembered chill as an adult, basically, that she remembers as an adult.
Mm,
Emma's put she's also an author, yeah, a brilliant author.
mm.
Cameron's put maybe Alanine, Caroline, maybe Caroline secretly knew that in Point Horror the parents are absent, so she froze everyone to keep them in the books. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Nat, who said she wasn't, she didn't like freeze tag, said zero sympathy for Lannie. I'd left her in the damn truck. Yes.
Oh no, I would. Let me be really clear. I would have left her in the truck. I
Yeah,
absolutely still would have left her in
totally.
the truck. Like I actually think that she deserves to stay in the truck. But I think that it was a great from a storytelling perspective. It was good that Maggie didn't leave her in the truck.
Yeah. So with Megan, was she a good protagonist? Did you like Megan,
Did I like
or did she
Megan?
get on your nerves?
No. We see. Thing is Megan reminded me of all the kids that bullied me at school. Like
Mm,
she definitely struck me, and therefore I liked her story. Her arc was definitely really good in the sense of,
yeah.
she struck me as she was almost as selfish as Lannie to some extent, just without the murderous superpowers.
Mm,
And the way that she fawned over West, perhaps that's the way that I would have, if I was reading as a teenager. Had I read it as a teenager, I would have been like, yes, of course. And remember feeling like that about various young people when I was growing up. But I felt that she had no personality outside of loving West. So
yeah.
I wanted to know, well, okay, well, let's say West wasn't that. Well, what else is it? And I felt that outside of that, she maybe came across as a sort of like, what is it in one of the back heathers?
Yeah.
Not the front
Yeah.
heather, a back heather.
Yeah.
She wasn't
Yeah.
the popular one, but she was close enough that I didn't feel
Mm,
like she would stand up for anybody or fight for anybody, but she would like go along with the popular kids. So what I thought was good for her journey was at least you saw her learning to empathize for others, and
mm,
actually, and therefore I think it was the right writing choice to have a let Lannie, except she shouldn't have let her from a kind of like, she is not going to change, and Lannie's not going to change kind of perspective.
yeah.
But yeah, I felt as a bullied teenager that I was reading a story
Mm,
about the popular kid,
yeah.
um, and that's maybe why I have empathy for Lannie, because I was
Yeah.
the weird kid.
Yeah, I
Still am.
just found same here. But I just found Megan, she irritated me. As you say, because she was just like West, 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 like all the time, and it just felt like that was her life. And but I did like the fact that she did go on a journey, and she kind of learnt that, you know, the Trevors aren't as nice as what she thought, or aren't this wonderful family. And she kind of managed to break free. But in my opinion, Lannie kind of helped her do that. I don't know. It's
Not
like it's so
intentionally. That was not Lannie's.
conflicting.
That was not Lannie's. That was not Lannie's intention. But
Yeah,
it was nice that she found something to be through the story that was not just a side hustle for
just
the
yeah,
Trevors.
that's it. Yeah, Yeah, because that's just
Um,
what it felt like, really, wasn't it? Even for Tuesday, like the so-called bestie, we'll call her that. But even like Megan was just like a spare part kind of thing.
yeah,
Do you
she was,
think? Like,
she was,
yeah,
but I think that was, I absolutely think that was intentional on
yeah.
Cooney's
So she
behalf.
had this kind of like character arc, so that by the
Yeah.
end
Oh
she
gosh,
like
yeah.
has learned. Yeah,
But also that,
yeah,
you know, she sees herself an extension of the Trevor family. They don't see
mm,
her as an extension of their family.
yeah. No,
They
definitely.
don't. That's there's their unit and Meg is there. Like it's not
Yeah,
this is the unit. And so she's an outsider to the Trevors.
mm,
And so, you know, it comes back to that kind of as a character, she feels like she has no identity outside of this, you know, adoration of both the
mm,
Trevors, their life that she feels that she wants, and of West. And so,
yeah,
you know, having that journey where she gains an appreciation for her life, her mum, breaks out of that cycle to save Lannie, whether she should
mm,
have or not. From you know, Lannie is, you know, I don't think salvageable perspective.
yeah,
Um, and she, but we still don't know who she is. She just is who she is that action at that point.
yeah.
I still feel like there's lots about her that I wanted to know more about. Like,
Mm.
um, having said
She
that,
can't.
again, I love the efficiency of writing, and I can
Yeah.
forgive it. Like with We Were Liars, the shortness and the brevity of it, you get and
Mm.
you kind of get just enough to want to know more, but you don't feel
Yeah, that's
bombarded by it.
true. Oh,
But
that's
yeah, she
amazing book. We Were Liars. I love
yeah.
that.
But when but yeah, the first thing that struck me in sort of the early chapters, the thing that I found hard to get over in the reading of it,
Mm.
and I'm sure I'm both not alone, but I'm sure many people would disagree with me, is that I found her less. I just didn't really enjoy reading her perspective
Mm.
because I just wanted to give
Yeah.
her a bit of a smack around the face, a bit, just saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Welcome
But
to the 21st century."
do you think she realised that herself as a character? Obviously, I know she's not real, but do you think she realised herself when she kind of had that little cuddle with her mom on the bed and things? Do you think she was realising that that everything she kind of knew or thought about herself and her life was just not correct? I don't know.
Yeah, I
There was
felt
like,
that she came to that realization, and that's why
yeah,
I forgave the first few chapters.
yeah,
And I think what keeps you going through that first few chapters is the intrigue and the interest and the potential horror that's going to come and all that lovely build up for a good scary
yeah,
story. But
yeah,
what Cooney does, which is I thought quite clever, is she uses that to drive you towards drive you through a period where you've got quite a difficult protagonist, a bit of
mm,
well just used earlier, a bit of a git, and then to a point where actually there's actually a deeper character realization that isn't
yeah,
explicit. It's not. She definitely shows doesn't tell with all of that
mm,
in
yeah,
a very good way. So I
yeah.
felt that was there, but it wasn't explicit on the page to my recollection.
Yeah, no, definitely. Nat's reading Nooks put Megan was an awful protagonist. Yeah,
I'm
I
with you on
wasn't.
that one, Nat.
Yeah, I wasn't keen. Inside the cover, Tam she's put I couldn't have left Lannie in the truck. And Nat put I would have. I love that. I love how that splits opinion. Emma's put Megan
Mm,
reminded you of your bullies, and she put sad
mm,
cryy face. She was just as selfish, but in the end, she fought for Lannie, which Emma liked. And Emma says she was the weird kid too. Yeah, I was
weird
weird.
kids rule.
To become a mum's put the reference at the end to West asking Lannie to go ice skating. I thought that was how they were going to stop her. Yeah, I thought that with the ice skating. So they kind of like make this big thing, and I thought they were going to like get a hole and put her in the water or something, but
Mm-hmm.
no. But yeah, and even on the front cover, so yeah, so the cover would indicate that as well, that maybe she went
Yeah, I think the cover.
through
There
the
was another cover.
ice.
The was a special. Somebody posted it on Instagram with actually had Lannie.
Yeah.
I think this is a really evocative cover, and it would have made me
Mm,
pick up the book for sure as a kid. I
yeah.
absolutely don't think this is the right cover for the story in the sense of it doesn't.
No.
This never happens.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
isn't an icy lake. There isn't. You know, it's cold, but yeah. And
Yeah. We find a lot of this with point horror covers though. They're not always very accurate.
I'll
I
forgive them
think with
because they're
the
all great.
UK ones, yeah. Oh, there we go. Emma said, I had teenage crushes and remember it being all consuming.
Oh
So
yeah.
that came across with Megan. So yeah, so
But
she was just
as an author,
obsessed.
I still think you could have shown that and given us more about her other bits of her personality.
Yeah,
You can show the
yeah,
all-consuming and the other stuff, and I just was missing the and the other stuff. I don't. The all-consuming stuff definitely was done tick, big tick, but I wanted
yeah.
to know just a little bit more about her outside of that.
Yeah, telly producers, but it's amazing that Meghan went on to marry Prince Harry.
Oh.
Oh, you did actually message me that, and I was laughing. I thought that was quite funny. Oh dear, yeah.
Oh no.
Nat says Meghan was an appendage. Lannie was a cancerous
That's
appendage. Whoa.
weird. I quite like the way you put that. Actually, that's really
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, that's
interesting. I think
interesting.
because you know, maybe it's the one character I really empathise is either my age or the writing was the mum. And the most of I think the other characters, until I got further in the book and I got to see a little bit more under the layers of them. You got to see the threat in West and the scary side of him, which I think was really important because the jockness is often a trope, and that is a really interesting like next layer of the onion. And with Meghan, you get to see that kind of the fear and the care, but I think for a large amount of it, yeah, they came across quite appendagey.
Yeah, that's a good observation there, definitely. So to become a mum's, but that's what made me think about the Trevor's warmth was actually the evil force. So you kind of get this twist at the end, don't you? Whereas like the Trevors are meant to be this like brilliant family on Dartfern Lane, but you know, how did you feel at the end when? Do you think Tuesday knew what she was doing? That she sent
100%.
do you think? And they kind of
Absolutely.
then that realization that Meghan has that wait, this isn't right. This family is not what I thought they were, and it's not what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just thought that was such a clever ending, and I really liked it. I wish that Caroline B. Cooney had left maybe the last page out, so it I
didn't get the last page. Maybe the person
that's what it was. Someone in anger went, "No,
better book now." I didn't get the last page, so yeah, I agree. But yeah,
yeah. So as an ending, did you like the ending for the bit that you read? Or
so I think if it had been ended, yeah, I did. I think if it had been ended with her not actually physically opening the door, that we wouldn't have had closure on Meghan's arc. I do think, given we just spent X number of pages with this relatively unlikable character for a large percentage of it, I wanted to have a reason to have done that. So I felt like Cooney gave me that reason. It could have ended after that. And I'm kind of glad there wasn't more after that. Could have easily, she could have easily done a whole kind of like wrapping it too nicely up in a bow kind of thing. But equally, I would have quite liked a story where she just kind of like sucked it up and let it happen.
Yeah, let it happen.
Because that's equally an interesting story. It's a different one. But I do love the idea that that there is a detriment. Evil force is one way of putting it. I just think it's really strong. Of a family that is so intoxicating, or a person or group that's so intoxicating that it draws you away from the people who really love you, who really care about you, and make you an appendage.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the thing is, oh bless you. And the thing is as well, like I have questions about West because one, he was doing up a car in the winter, like down in the bless you.
Carry on.
Down in the little forest, and bless you. So down in the forest, he was doing up this car, like in the snow in the winter, and like it had no handles on. We were like, I didn't get that. Like, why was he doing that at that time of the year? It just didn't make sense. It felt like it was just for the plot to me. Well, I don't know.
Because he was trying to find a way to escape, I think.
But
also because she couldn't write anything deeper about him.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
there
not
wasn't
talk for a minute.
much there.
Oh,
Oh, no worries. Oh, bless you.
throat infection, not great.
Oh, bless. Claire's put, Luna's put, I was frustrated that Megan saved Lannie, but probably would have done the same. So Emma's asked the big question. So who would have left Lannie in the truck and who would have saved her? So Nat says truck. Nat says, I didn't like the Trevors, I didn't like Megan, I didn't like Lannie. Everyone's put laughy face.
That has feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have left her in the truck, I'll be honest. I have absolutely no soul.
I think I would have left her in the truck just because it would have been a better ending than saving her.
I would have also left West and gone back to my mum and be like, I'm done with that now. That's me. That's me done.
Well, Melina's put, I thought West was quite a sinister character, and that's quite interesting. Yeah. Oh, did you?
Yeah, because he struck me as the kind of guy that, you know, he had that under the cover. You know, there was something there. He was too nice. And I think you saw it. I think Lannie brought that out in him. I'm not, you know, I'm not saying he would have, you know, ended the same way without him, but without her even. But he struck me as the jock with something to hide. And I think, but then I think it's quite easy to write. Not easy to write. I think it's an interesting story to tell. That character in that era, because in the 90s it was always, you know, yay jocks. Whereas to tell a story where, you know, Mr. Nice Guy, the nice guy, has that sinister side is actually quite prescient. Because you know you have this thing, you know, now in the 21st centuries when you talk about the guys who are so intent on being seen as the nice guy, but they have that thing behind them that, you know, it can be sinister. To put that in a book in the early 90s, I think it's quite brave.
He just, I don't know, with West, he just kind of irritated me, and like, I felt like he was a bit mean to, even though I didn't really like Megan that much. I felt he was a bit mean to Megan sometimes, like winding her up and things. I don't know. I wasn't sure about him. Wasn't 100%. To become a mum's put, I think they did do it, but it was because of how Lannie had taken so much away from them. So so the family were all kind of in on it at the end. Claire's put, but West was behaving against his usual character because of his frozen heart. Now this is what I was going to ask you. The references at the end that Lannie passed powers on to West. And I was like, well, did he really have powers, or was that like a fake thing? Because he kind of says to Megan, I can't ever touch you again because Lannie's giving her powers. And I was like,
I didn't quite get that. But I definitely think that the whole frozen heart, that's the link to the Snow Queen story, is very on point. Definitely. I did get the feeling that it didn't take much. You know what I mean? She was bringing something out in him, not that she created it in him.
Yeah, no, definitely. Luna's, but I liked the ending. It wasn't predictable. It was like kind of that realization about the because you've had it drummed into you about the handles on the door like quite a few times, and then it was just that realization. I didn't clock until Megan clocked. Kind of that was what was going to happen.
Chekhov's door handle from the beginning. That was always going to happen, especially when you had the scene. You know, the two people,
I'm just
the two grown-ups who died with Frozen have been in cars. Yeah, there's
of course.
A dark.
I'm easily fooled. No,
you just get into the story, and therefore you're not, it's quite annoying when you're always seeing these things, you know, as either a writer or a very avid reader of storytelling tropes and genres. It does take you out of it a bit, but Chekhov's door handle, and that's probably why we were told so much about him going and sorting his car out.
So in the middle of winter.
Just reminding you the car is there.
Excuse me. Oh, is it Lannie?
It's not my phone, so I can't hang it.
Oh, it's Lannie. She's after you.
No, she goes, mm.
Nat's put Nat's put, or could West have fought harder to stay
Yeah.
with Megan, or was he looking for a way out and use Lannie to that end?
Ooh, I didn't read that into the
Yeah.
story, but I can see how that would also be
I like that.
could be a story that could be told.
Yeah, I like that theory. Karen says, do you think there is a way Lannie could have used her powers for good?
Yeah. Well, Elsa did it.
Yeah.
You know, I think it is a case of, but then somebody pointed out earlier, which I think was really interesting, that there is this trope of, you know, children who are abused or neglected, or, you know, becoming the same in stories. There aren't enough, I think, of telling the other story where people who go through that don't become that. So, you know, there is a laziness to that, I suppose. And that would be a really interesting story to tell. It wouldn't be a horror story, possibly.
Yeah, no, definitely. To become a mum's put, I don't think he had any choice but to do it in winter. So me saying about the car, it was always cold, and he was doing it purposely to have a way to kill Lannie. We learnt about the door handles early. I'm so thick. I didn't pick up on the door handle thing.
I need to reread it.
And Emma's put, yeah, there's lots for leaving her there in the car. You can never reason with a point horror killer, to become a mum says. And that's put, I have many feelings. We love the feelings. Oh, Karen's put, I would have saved her and organised a group hug with everyone who usually ignored her. But she would have probably just frozen. Like, she would have frozen them. She would be like, yeah.
I'd have bought her a really woolly jumper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she would have loved a woolly jumper. Christmas one as well.
Really Christmas, long gloves.
Yeah. To become a mum's put, you would have all got frozen.
And a trust fund to be used on therapy.
Yeah. To become a mum's put, did you notice that Lannie's surname was the same letters as Evil? What was her surname?
Yeah. I did.
Oh, I didn't. There's a shocker.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that.
I was trying to work out an anagram of it at some point.
Anvil. Yeah. Oh, so she was just destined to be evil. I have to shout out as well that there was like a couple of Z-list characters. So Valerie, who was getting tips for I think about West from his like girlfriend Megan, so she could pretend to date him. Apparently, she calls Lannie this pale-faced shrimpette from the zoo. And then, we just hope that off page, like, she got frozen. But the best line that she said was, "He took her to Pizza Hut, Megan." Like, that was like the big thing.
That is the bit, if they made a movie, that would be a gift, like, instantly.
Yeah, "He took her to Pizza Hut, Megan." Like, she was like, you could just imagine how she said it. But Caroline B. Cooney is rather obsessed with Pizza Hut, because I think it was the cheerleader, they have like Pizza Hut dates and things like that. I mean, it was big in the 90s, so maybe it's that.
Yeah. But I'll be honest. It could be. He took her to Pizza Hut. Like I
took her to Pizza Hut.
I remember going like with my girlfriends to Pizza Hut, and it was the height of the social moment.
Yeah.
Height. Especially when you got to go to the buffet for the salad. Absolutely. And the ice cream.
And then the ice cream. I was just going to say the ice cream. But yeah, I did chuckle at that line when she's like, you took her to Pizza Hut. Like, yes.
Very cool.
And then I think you had Rachel, Rachel who poked her nose in as well, and then Sue Ann, who I read her bit as like Regina George, kind of. She only had like a one-liner, but it was, I can't even remember what it was now, but it was like really cutting, and I thought, yeah.
There was some great red shirts in it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Eddie May's put, how did she not freeze West with all the smooching? It's because they got hot.
Well, I read it that it was her choice when she did it, but I also,
she could choose. Yeah, I gathered that maybe she could just choose when she wanted to freeze people, unfreeze people, because she unfroze poor Jessica, or whatever her name was. That no one knew. Jacqueline, Jessica.
And all the kids in the beginning, in the prologue. Because she freezes them and then she unfreezes them.
And then she unfreezes them, See, it would have saved a lot of hassle if she just left them frozen when they were kids and just was done with it. And then, then that
but then she couldn't mentally scar them for life.
There is that.
Then she had, I think the thing is then she had power over them. But or then maybe as a character she thought she would, but she didn't, because children have no recollection of that moment. They kind of like I think it was a great moment early on when she said, kind of drift, blew it off as kind of a dream or a weird memory or a game. I totally can see you would do that.
And we were talking about the popcorn earlier. I forgot to mention that the big revelation was apparently fresh snow. If you put maple syrup on it, it makes candy. Like, is this actually a thing? Because
I do not know whether that's true, but I will try it if we get snow this year.
I was going to say, if we get snow, we'll have to do like a little test to see if that.
I'm not sure whether I would ever eat actual snow, like snow cone maybe, but I'd be a bit worried about the amount of detritus that would be in my snow.
But I'd just like to see if it did make like instant candy. Like, has anyone tried this? Like,
again, we need the episode. We need the Point Horror Book Club episode where we do various food stuffs from Point Horror.
Yeah, and I think Emma said earlier, she goes, "Yes, do it," because it would be
maple
so
syrup
fun.
Snow is definitely got to be on the list.
Cheesy popcorn, buttery popcorn, everything. And that's just what she wants, pizza.
Do a 7-course tasting menu of Point Horror.
Yeah, can you imagine? It'd be so cool. So overall then, obviously you're a fan of this book.
I am. I would read it again.
Overall.
I would read it again, and I'd be interested to read it again and see how it reads on a second time. I definitely want to go on and read more COONEY, or reread more COONEY. And it's like, I think you said and others, it doesn't read like standard Point Horror fare. It's got something else to it. It feels more like a novella that could be read outside of the Point Horror universe. Well, it could almost read as an adult story if you slightly tweak some of the similes. We could take or leave the similes, but I will forgive her for them. And sorry, Kitty. I was just going to say, a lot of the Point Horrors weren't Point Horror. They were just rebranded in the UK as Point Horror. I didn't know that.
So there was like a big box that appeared in Scholastic's office with like different books in, and they kind of created the Point Horror logo over here in the UK, and kind of rebranded a load of books as this Point Horror brand. Because in America it was like Point, or Point. Like Avon Flair or something like that. So over here the UK actually made this logo. And I learned that from fangirling at poor Anne Finnis at a Yalk. I bumped into Anne Finnis, and I knew who she was because I knew she published these Point Horrors, and I was like, "Oh my god, Anne!" I was proper fangirling. She was like, "Let's go to lunch," and I'm like, "I'm dying." I know. I was like, so we just talked about Point Horror, and like, oh my god, I love her so much.
Next time you do that, come and find me and drag me along.
Yeah, because she used to work for Usborne, you see, so that's why she was there at the time. This was probably like 2014, 15 or something, and someone said, "Oh, Anne Finnis is here," and introduced me, and I was fangirling so hard. I'm sure she will never forget it, because I was like, oh, like it was like a proper celebrity.
I would have died.
I think I said to her, "You made my teen years." And then like she kind of told me this story, and I think I've got a blog piece still up on my blog with what she wrote for me, and she told me this little story about the book.
Put that in the links. I want to read
I'll pop it up. But it was a proper like moment, because she did make my teen years. This is all I read as a teen, and if it wasn't for Point Horror, like, who would I be? Like, do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't be a writer. I genuinely wouldn't be an author, I think, because I found there was so they were so accessible and so digestible
Yeah.
and so entertaining. And, you know, as a young girl, they also allowed you to kind of explore that kind of darker side of, you know, you'd be shoved, all my friends were reading Babysitters Club and all that kind of, like, I was like, I can't be dealing with that. I want to read death and murder.
Death and murder.
And I've still got this running joke in my house where my dad, I think it was after my third book that I'd written, or short story that I'd written, he said, can you write something where people don't die? And I went, people die? And in The Boy I Am, there's one character who I think I killed 50 different times in various edits, who and I was like determined to kill them. So I'm spoiling that. And I remember going to that point where I remember what my dad was saying. I could not kill them. I went, no, death. And
I like that.
And then, you know, that led me to graduate onto, you know, harder called horror and Stephen King and all that kind of stuff that led me to other stories.
That's it.
Horror and Dickens basically in parallel until I was 18.
I love that.
So
that's
I certainly wouldn't be the writer I am today, and I wouldn't enjoy the horror moments as much as I do.
No, definitely. They definitely influenced me, just like my reading taste, and probably explains the craziness, to be honest. But anyway, Nikki put sounds dodgy, so about the snow. What about Mistaken Yellow Snow? Yes, that is one we have to watch out for.
Also not something I've tried.
Yummy. Inside the cover, Yalk, I really want to go in 2023. Nat says 2023, yeah. Oh, maybe we'd have to do like a little point horror meet up or something.
I will be there. Like... I don't know when my book's coming out, but whether or not I'm on stage, I don't know. But if I'm not, even if I am, I would definitely do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would be so good. Nat said I used to get through 2 or 3 point horrors a week. Yeah, same. Oh, loved it. So many memories. But yeah, so overall then I enjoyed this one for like different reasons that I still am processing, even though I've read this one a couple of times. Like, I'm still processing my thoughts, and I love that. Every time I read this, I think something different, and that is the power of COONEY, or Caz Coo, as I like to call her. She is the queen. And I loved the nature versus nurture, and you know, all the coldness, the chilliness. I just loved it, and I just thought it was brilliant. And it was different from our average point horror. No pranks. Like real threat. And that's what I kind of liked.
I felt like there was real threat. I wanted more of the horror. Like it felt like a thriller rather than a horror, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It had one good jump scare when Lannie kind of reached in between them in the middle of the car.
Yeah, when they're having like naughty time in the car.
Looking at each other's eyes. That was good.
But even the description of that was just like bone chilling. It was good.
I wanted more gore.
Yeah. I always want more gore. More gore, more death.
I think a few less similes, a little bit more death. And I would have given it, a solid sort of 4.5. I think as it stands, it's kind of coming up to a 4 for me if I was going to give it 8 stars.
No, definitely.
Better than I expected, definitely.
Yeah.
And more enjoyable after I got past the sort of midpoint.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the kind of the downwards slope of the story a lot. Really, really strong story to kind of get me back into my point horror after many a year.
Yeah, and you're going to collect them again now, and I'm so happy.
No, just pointed out the bit that I found the most good, the snow falling on open eyes. That made me wince.
Yeah. Because imagine like it falling and you can't blink because you're frozen, and you can just feel it all piling up on your eyes, and
But I think had there been a bit more kind of leaning into the horror elements and sort of the kind of the gory elements, and I wanted to know more about the dad and, like we said, all the dog, and there could have been more of that, I think, to just sort of level it up. But I don't know what age group this was really aimed at the time, and how much she could get away with. A little bit more blood.
Yeah, but overall, I'm giving it a thumbs up because I really liked it, and as I say, every time I read it, I think something different. So that's amazing.
Thank you for putting it on the list. My
Oh
toddler
no,
picked this
thank
up when I
you.
was my toddler picked this up when we were on holiday, and she decided to read it to me. And this is my toddler's reading of the story. Hands, 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 hands. So my toddler tells you the story by telling you what's on the cover until she
Oh.
gets to the back page, and then she go, hands. The end.
Oh, I love that. And that kind of is a good summary of the book,
Just
really.
rather summarise it nicely, doesn't it?
Oh dear. So to become a mum's just said, what's the next book? So in January we're doing Hit and Run by R.L. Stein, which is
Classic.
it's a crazy one. That one,
Classic.
yeah, crazy, and I can't wait to hear what people think about that as well. But yeah, but thank you, Kitty. Thank you for joining us. Like, it's been absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad. Like, now we've started your point horror obsession again. So yeah,
Yeah. I've got to
yeah,
pick them at my collection. The only ones I kept when I sold them all. I kept all my Pikes.
Oh
Because he was my
yes,
favourite.
nice.
I love Pike. So I kept all my
Yeah,
Pikes, kept all my Lost Vampires, and everything else I sort of gave
yeah.
away. And I'm gonna have to build them back up again.
No, Nat's just put, I love R.L. Stein. So yeah, Hit and Run. Let's see if you still love Stein after that one. No, I think it's a good one, actually. I think. Can't remember.
Cool.
My memory's a bit hazy, but yeah. But
Well, I'll be tuning in.
do check out The Boy I Am by
There is
Kitty.
death.
There's death.
And
That's how we're going to sell it.
And also explosions and snogging and politics. So there you go.
Yeah.
And gold.
And look out for Kitty's next book next year, which is not far.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. So, because it sounds wonderful. And yeah, and we'll see you next month for another fun-filled point horror book club. We'll see what next month brings. All right, guys. Thanks for all your fab comments and joining in.
Bye.
See you later.
Happy holidays. Bye.
Happy holidays. Bye.